Combat in D&D can easily get repetitive and boring, but what if the very nature of a creature added interesting combat mechanics or came prepackaged with story elements? That's exactly what ghosts bring to the table. A ghost is the spirit of a creature that was once alive. They generally have unfinished business that prevents them from letting go of the material plane. Ghosts are unnatural creatures emanating horrible manifestations of that unnatural state onto the world around them. This is typically what makes ghosts a problem, as they have no control over the strange occurrences that happen around them. These could be as mild as dips in temperature or as extreme as corpses rising from the grave. Ghosts are not evil by default. They can be any alignment. They also needn't have died any profound or terrible way. The only requirement to anything becoming a ghost is that it was once alive and died with unfinished business. As the DM, you have an extreme amount of flexibility when it comes to creating ghostly characters for your players to overcome, and that's what makes ghosts so fun. Combat in D&D often relies on the simple loop of attacking until the enemy's health reaches 0, but ghosts come with an interesting combat puzzle. Due to their incorporeal nature, players can never be certain if they're going to land a hit or have their weapons pass through the specter harmlessly. There are also other reasons why ghosts should not be taken lightly. Let's take a look at a few things to keep in mind when putting your adventurers up against spirits from beyond the grave. A normal ghost has a challenge rating of 4. This rating is correct based on the numbers and mechanics that surround a ghost, but an unprepared party might as well be facing a deadly encounter. Ghosts have a boatload of resistances, which include acid, fire, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical weapons, as well as immunity to cold, necrotic, and poison damage. Not to mention, they're also immune to almost every condition. And crazy as that is, that's only the start of their features. Ghosts are not actually strictly incorporeal. They still exist in the material plane half of the time, but can move through objects and creatures as if they were difficult terrain. The incorporeal part of the ghost comes from their ability to swap back and forth between the ethereal plane and the material plane as an action. No matter what plane it's on, the ghost is still visible, vaguely alluding to its otherworldly nature. This gives the ghost a tactical advantage since players are never really sure what plane the ghost is on. If your players decide to fight a ghost, they'll likely have their hands full. Players can technically hit the ghost since it only has resistance to all types of non-magical weapon damage, not immunity. However, the ghost must be on the material plane for it to get hit, and the players may not be able to tell which plane the ghost is on at any given time. This feature can cause a player a lot of confusion, as they might assume it needs to be hit by magic, but then see their spells pass through the ghost when it's on the ethereal plane. With this in mind, we can already see how a single ghost can make for a long, drawn-out fight. Players might waste spells and attacks while the ghost just hangs out menacingly. And a ghost is not powerless to fight back. Its primary focus is completing its unfinished business, and it won't let anyone stand in its way. It has an array of attacks it can use if provoked. Its basic attack on hit deals 4d6 plus 3 necrotic damage. As an action, it can display a horrifying visage, which can frighten creatures and cause them to age 1d4 times 10 years. If that's not enough, a ghost can also possess creatures and use them against the party until their health drops to 0. If your players get close to defeating a ghost in combat, it will prioritize escape over the fight. Its primary goal is to complete its unfinished business, not fight the party. Despite all its horrifying attacks, a ghost knows when it needs to leave to ensure it can continue on. If your players decide against combat, there are plenty of other ways to deal with ghosts. The simplest and most straightforward method would be to just complete the ghost's unfinished business. If the ghost dreamed of brewing the most magnificent potion ever, your players can help the ghost gather the ingredients and brew the potion. The ghost will disappear, and then the players get a cool potion. Alternatively, a ghost might be sworn to revenge against a particular family and refuse to rest until every member of that family line is dead. Assuming your players are not murder hobos, that's a pretty tough ask. If peace isn't an option, there are still better ways to combat a ghost than just charging straight in. Ghosts have a unique and ambiguous trait where they can be weakened by invoking a weakness tied to its former life. But what exactly does that mean? The rulebooks don't say specifically, and only give a few vague hints about what that might look like. But this can be a good thing, as it gives the DM full reign to decide how much and to what extent that happens. Reading a bit between the lines, a ghost could be hurt more by something that caused its death. A ghost might even be outright destroyed by replicating the way it died. Alternatively, a ghost who died intensely hating something could be weak to that which it hated. Another interpretation of this could be that ghosts might act irrationally when presented with things tied to their past. Irrational behavior might include staying in the material plane to be relentlessly attacked instead of preserving their undeath. There are all sorts of ghosts that you could use in your campaign, as well as some basic archetypes you can use to make your own ghosts. Ghosts you use in your game might fall into one of these example groups. The friendly ghost, the non-aggressive type that cause unnatural trouble accidentally. The rage ghost, this creature died hating everything, and it still does. The oblivious ghost, this ghost doesn't know it's dead and will ignore any notion of this. The poltergeist, this specter haunts an area and is focused on creating ghostly manifestations more than anything else. And finally, the real sad story ghost, like the ghost of a dog who promised to wait for its owner to return from war. But now let's take a look at a specific example and how it can be used in your own game. Your party shows up to a beautiful seaside town with lush green hills of rolling meadows. The town is small and quite spread out, but even in the densest areas, hardly anyone is out and about. After questioning a few of the locals, the party learns that there are unusual happenings going on in the town. Odd, supernatural occurrences have started plaguing the denizens, originating from the old orchard north of town, and no one dares go near it. Once the team decides to intervene and investigate the abandoned orchard, they find a number of unusual things on the way. Trees bearing black fruit with no leaves, and various cold spots despite the warm summer sun. But the real trouble starts much closer to the orchard when the party is attacked by a small number of undead birds. Perhaps the villagers understated the unusual occurrences. After dealing with the undead flock, the party finally makes its way into the orchard's storehouse and is greeted unexpectedly by a young, translucent child. The small boy seems happy to see the party, but it is very clear to the party that the boy is some sort of specter. The ghostly child takes care to be very polite and shows the adventurers into the building. He apologizes about the birds and the dead trees. He doesn't know what causes them and has been hiding from those creepy things by staying inside the storehouse. The party has many options that they can take with the child to complete the quest. If they stay and talk with the boy, he'll start telling them stories, the way most children do, and talk about the things he wanted to do in his life. He'll eventually mention he wanted to operate the village's lighthouse and help bring in the night merchant's ship someday. If the party takes a more aggressive route in exorcising the boy, he gets scared and runs away. As his mood worsens, various undead creatures show up to attack the party, and unusual occurrences slow them down. The party can find the boy and destroy him, but he will only attack if hurt. If the party tries to fulfill the boy's unfinished business, they can decide to take him to the lighthouse at night, which starts a sequence of events where they have to keep the boy, who is easily frightened, from seeing any unnatural occurrences on the way there. If they fail to ward off the monsters, he gets scared and returns to the orchard. When the party reaches the lighthouse successfully and the boy makes it to the top, they can help him operate the light, bringing in the night ships. The boy is happy and passes on, ending the haunting of the town. So now you can see that ghosts are very versatile, and you can easily create meaningful encounters with them. Try to create a ghost in your setting that isn't just a chance encounter, but instead an opportunity for your players to explore your world. If you set up the encounter properly, your players will have to do their research and find out what the ghost's unfinished business was, diving deep into the content you've created. If you're interested in more encounter tips or other Dungeon Master advice, check out our other videos. You can find more advice at masterthedungeon.com. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe or consider supporting us on Patreon. Happy DMing!